Hello. Well then, the preview of the two egos have dropped already, and now let's take a look at them. Look at that charge count. What was I saying? I was hoping for rupture, but I mean they are from W Corp, so it just makes sense for them to be charge counters. But wait a second, it's for Hong Lu. Hong Lu doesn't have a W Corp ID right now. He gains haste next turn. Wait, it inflicts fragile. Oh no, 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 no. Oh no, it inflicts fragile. Let's hope it's not 1. If it's a value of like 4 or 5 though, it might be too strong. It's a pride ego, interesting. Dimensional Rift. Gain rupture count. Oh, it's both. It's both. Okay. Alright then. We have rupture count, fragility, and charge count. This one is gonna be number 1. I'm calling it way too early, but this is number 1. This is gonna be the best ego. These two. Actually, I haven't looked at Yisang yet. Maybe it's a bit too early. That's too early. Sorry. Okay, anyway. Fragile. What? Yeah, that's really good. Rupture count. Oh, yes. We need to see the numbers here. Very important. If it's 1 and 1, then might not even be anything. But if it's a number higher than 1, I'm willing to give it a try. Because this has lots of potential. Fragile and rupture count. Oh, finally. Rupture count synergy. But does that mean that the ID that we are getting is not actually charge count related? It's more rupture related. Interesting. I'm really not too sure here. I'm really not too sure. What about indiscriminate here? Targets the unit with the most HP, sure. Gain haste next turn. Spend charge count to inflict more. Ho ho ho. Yo. That's a lot of fragile. Maybe. We don't know the numbers, but goddamn, man. If this is how it works, right, then you're supposed to... What you're supposed to do, right, is you're supposed to accumulate charge count using either an ID or using the actual ego itself to generate your charge count, and then you corrode this either through sanity. I don't think this would be a negative coiner. It could be a negative coiner, but corroding this to then inflict even more fragile and dimensional rift. So the setup could be something like turn 1 pop this, turn 2 pop this. Very expensive for pride though. We do not know the cost yet either though. Interesting. But it does look like the kind of pattern, doesn't it? Okay, we need to see the IDs that will accompany this ego, and then we can determine more. Because right now I really don't know. Because right now the current state of how it looks like is going to use this followed by this. When hitting enemy with negative status effects, this unit gains charge. Ah, okay, never mind. Bleeding is an issue. When hitting an enemy with negative status effects, this unit gains charge count. Okay. And does it scale a number? It just says with negative. That means as long as they get what? Nail, bleed, burn, rupture, any of these statuses, this unit gets charge count. We don't know the value either. When HP falls to 0, spend all charge and heal in proportion. Isn't this Nemo's passive? I think that's Nemo's passive. Yeah, Nemo has a no die move one time. Okay. This ego looks like a bit too much actually. It has too many things going for it. We don't know the numbers. We don't know the numbers. I need to remind myself. But looking at just the statuses and things it does, right? This ego looks freaking phenomenal. Oh man. This is like an amazing ego already. And I don't even know the values of each one. But yeah, we need to wait until these specific numbers here. Even though all these statuses are all super good, need to know the number for each one. Okay. Hong Lu's one looking very, very spicy. What about Yisang? Before attack, spend charge count to deal more damage. Okay, sure. If charge count was spent, inflict dimensional rift. Okay. Deal bonus pride based on damage dealt, target rupture, and reduce rupture count. Okay, it specifically says reduce rupture count. Interesting. So rupture count, you normally reduce it by 1 when you hit it. But this one says it will reduce again, maybe. Huh. That is interesting. Oh, I guess we're getting rupture IDs then, right? Because if not, how are we gonna get enough rupture for this to actually be significant? And the indiscriminate is target a random unit. Before attack, spend charge count to deal more damage. If charge count was spent, inflict dimensional rift. Okay. On hit, inflict rupture. Sure. And on hit, it does the same thing. Also, This is not red and this is red. PMoon, please. PMoon, please. If you want to make them all red, make them all red. Or is there something like indiscriminate here? It's because it's indiscriminate? No, even here the passive is ruptured. Oh, I'm mildly annoyed by this, but it's okay, it's okay. It's okay, it's just UI stuff. I don't care about UI stuff. I only care about gameplay stuff. Or gacha stuff. Okay, so looks very interesting. It's a spend charge count character to inflict rift and to deal damage and inflicts rupture if you corrode. This targets a random unit, so it's not as consistent as the other one, but whatever. At the start of the turn, if this unit took no damage last turn, gain charge count. Aha! So that's the charge count source. Don't know the number? After successfully hitting enemy with lower speed, this is really easy because right now all of his IDs are really fast. Inflict rupture count. Oh, he inflicts count directly. Oh my goodness, this is the greatest feeling. I called it, man. I called charge count and I called rupture. I didn't call the fragile though. The fact that Honglu's has fragile as well as the other two. Wait, no, this does not have rupture. Oh. Okay, Yisang is rupture. Honglu is not rupture. But Honglu, no, but Honglu has dimensional rift, which is still supporting rupture. But this one has rupture count. No, both have rupture count. Okay, no. They're about the same, yeah. About the same. But Honglu doesn't spend unless you use here to get fragile. Yeah, fragile's the only difference between the two. They're both pride egos. Yeah, they're both pride egos. Also, this is extremely pixelated. I feel kind of bad for PMoon. Like, look at how much pixels there are. Jeez. Oh my goodness. This is looking real spicy already. They're both piercing, right? Okay, slashing and piercing. I suppose so. I can see this one being slashing. Although the corroded version of the ego does not look like slashing. It's like a billion stabs or something. So I figured that would be puncture. Oh man. This is real spicy. We finally have our rupture count. And looks like rupture is going to be related with charge. So W Corp people will get rupture and fragile. Whew, that's gonna be very interesting because that means, right, we can easily stack up to 10 rupture in the future, hopefully, and we can see some more W Corp synergy. Now that we have N Corp, I guess we're getting W Corp next. Oh, but okay, then the next question is, are these egos season 1 or going to be season 2 egos? They're technically going to release before the end of season 1, right? Yeah, they are going to release before season 1. So does that mean they are infinite or they are season 1 ego? Yeah, are they going to be here forever or are they going to be only here for season 1? That's the real question. Because in the storyline, I don't think they mention any W Corp. So that means that these might be new additions to the infinite pool. Yeah, because we don't have any W Corp storyline. Okay, so tentatively, I think these two egos are actually going to be very good. Assuming the numbers are good, then these egos are going to be very good. Because one already has fragile, and we know how useful fragile is already for railway. For number 2, it has rupture count, which is very interesting for the future. For the future of W Corp, because that means W Corp or this dimension gang here will be the rupture appliers. Then we can use people like G Gregor. We can use Otis, 7 section Otis. We can use Ishmael also, I guess. Yeah, those 3 are the only rupture related characters I can think of right now. This is quite interesting. I assume this means that Yisang and Honglu are the next characters who are about to get ruptures. Yeah, rupture. Maybe they get W Corp next. I guess Liu section will have to wait then, because holy shit, man, these egos are really spicy. Also, I can't believe Honglu is just getting so many good shits. Like, inflict fragile on Honglu. My man, Honglu really has like some of the best IDs in the game, and you're gonna give him a fragile ego. That's man. Okay, no. Now that I think about it, Hex Nail and Sunyata also give fragile, but we don't use them. So it's going to depend. This is a he, so it's going to depend on the cost. Depends on how much fragile he applies. So most likely, if the fragile is not very high, then it will not be very good. But Dimensional Rift does look like something very interesting for the future of Rupture. So yeah, These two egos so far look pretty damn good. Wait for the numbers before we talk about them more. That's just gonna be in what, 3 days, right? Yeah, 3 days. Okay, summary time. So, I think that these two egos are really, really good. The Honglu's one already looks fantastic because it has Fragile, and we know how important Fragile is, we know how busted Fragile is. The fact that Rabbit Heathcliff has Fragile on his skill tree is literally why everyone like runs him in real way to cut down the turns. The issue is that there are some other egos, such as I believe Hex Nail and Sunyata, that also inflict Fragile, but they're not really popularly used. So it will depend on how much Fragile and how much Dimensional Rift this applies. I will admit though that this part here looks very interesting. This Dimension Shredder, the corroded version, yeah, because you can spend charge count to inflict more. So it looks like a tempo thing where you use this on turn 1 and then use this on turn 2 maybe. That will allow you to inflict the maximum amount of Fragile. It's a 2-turn setup, kind of like a body sack into quick suppression, and then you can max out the fragility with Rabbit Heathcliff as a combo. Maybe. But that's quite a costly combo. I do not know the cost of this. It's a He Ego, and He Egos historically, I believe, are around 6 to 7. If it has Fragile, it should probably be a 7. If it is somehow a 5 cost He, then that would be a bit insane. I think the only one that is a 5 cost He is Dawn's Telepole. Yeah, correct. So the last He Ego that was 5 cost and was really good is a 5 cost Dawn Telepole. Yeah, so if this was somehow 5 and also did this, then it would be pretty damn amazing. But if it was like 6 or 7 cost, maybe it might be a bit too expensive to do things like this ego into this ego. The fact that you can gain charge count when you hit an enemy with negative status effects does look very good though, because that means that you may just need to activate this once at the start of the fight, and then over time you just accumulate charge count, and then you just pop the corroded ego. We also don't know what ID will be going with this, so this potentially has a lot of synergy going on. When HP falls to 0 is just nice to have. I think that's Nemo's passive from the previous game. Dimensional Rift is pretty interesting. It's just nails, right? It's just nails per 4 rupture count. And then we look at Yisang. Yisang is charge count based, so that means that I'm hoping that Yisang will be getting a W Corp one, or maybe a new gang. Maybe it'll be like the Dimension people instead of W Corp. Although they are technically still part of W Corp, I think, because they are still using the blades. Spend charge count to deal more damage. If charge count will spend inflict Dimensional Rift. Dimensional Rift, once again, most likely going to be the crux if you want to stack a lot of rupture on the enemy. As for whether it's going to be very used in future railways, it's a bit hard to say, because railway runs have always been dominated by the 3 stars. And the 3 stars just bring a bunch of huge damage, the right typings. If you bring the right typings, you can kind of go even further than just synergizing with your team. But that doesn't mean you can't, roleplay a little bit and just run the W Corp gang and just run it down with the Dimension Shredders. Or the Rupture gang with these egos. Looking really interesting actually. At the start of the turn, this unit took no damage last turn, you gain charge count. This is practically free, because as long as you clash normally, you don't take the damage. And then this one is also pretty free because Yisang, he's very fast. So this is actually really, really strong, honestly. This inflict rapture count. Let's hope that it's of a good value. Let's hope all of these values for these egos are good values. At least not 1. If it's not 1, I think I can work with that. But if it's 1, I don't think it's going to be very good. Yeah, there's a lot of things to consider here. But I think tentatively that these two egos are very, very spicy. I feel like there's a lot of potential in the future for Rupture Gang. And whether it will be very useful for Railway is not confirmed. Because, 3 stars, high damage, bring the right typings, you win the game. Yeah, so I think that's it for my thoughts on this. Here's hoping that the numbers are good. And don't worry about these egos too much, because I believe they should be going into the infinite pool. Based on the previous tier list I did up, if you look at Telepole Dawn and Telepole Force, they are under the extraction egos, pullable and sparkable. And these two Dimension Cutter egos are not related to the story at all. So that means that they should belong to this tier as well. So they should be pullable and sparkable in Season 2. So I think there's no need to worry. If you don't get it now, you can still get them in Season 2. Yeah, so that's it for this video. Leave a comment if you have anything to say or need anything to be clarified. Yep, that's all.